One of the things that I know that you and I can relate to as people is the feeling of shame. That's something that each person as a human being has felt one time or another. And if I were to stop for a moment and say, hey, I want you to think of a moment where you felt ashamed. There's probably many things you could think of. Some of you might go back to something in childhood. Some of you may go to something you experienced last week at work. Some of you maybe experienced it through not yourself, but through somebody else. Maybe somebody in your family did something and it shamed the family name, and now you got to walk with that. God's word does expose our spiritual vulnerability. And that vulnerability is there because of our sin. And that creates shame. But we can shake off the shame of sin because Jesus took all of that onto himself. And so we get to embrace the fact that God has freed us from our ordeal. God has done the work we could not do. The good news is that he rescued us. We did not have to rescue ourselves. And it is available to anyone that will listen and anyone that will believe. See, we don't have to be ashamed. We have no reason to be ashamed. And this is where Paul launches. Verse 8, first, I thank my God through Jesus Christ for all of you because your faith is proclaimed in all the world. See, Paul is starting off this conversation with them to say, hey, I know y'all have been busy. On my own missionary journeys, I ran across people from your church who I got to know by name. In fact, if you want to see some of those names, you could skip ahead to Romans chapter 16. He actually lists them. All the people he came across on his missionary journeys were from this very church. See, Paul was thankful that they were unashamed to share the gospel. That's your first fill-in. These were fellow workers serving Jesus and laboring side by side with Paul to share the gospel. And they were doing it so much that many of them are actually becoming famous. And Paul was grateful for those people to do the work along with him. Yet that sort of fame could get you killed. And Paul knew it. And he was thanking them for it.